Welcome, it's Howard from HDS Electrical, and today we are going over what it's like and how to prevent losing all your work overnight. So how did this come about? We were working for a builder in Marlow and Kidlington, they had a gang of people. There were 3 of us at the time. They were doing 2 to 3 builds at a time. So a large amount of work. One would normally be converting houses to flats, and the other 2 were just doing general building projects. So a tremendous amount of work, and they actually kept us busy for 80% of our days, which is a substantial amount of time. It didn't seem like a problem until the day we lost all their jobs overnight, and suddenly we went from having a full schedule to having 20% of a schedule overnight. 3 people, a lot of worry, a lot of stress. Now, we were actually very fortunate because I got quite a few good contacts in the industry, and because I had and still have a fairly good reputation, I was able to make a few phone calls. We didn't even miss a day off work, none of the guys, which was fantastic and possibly lucky as well. You know, it might have been a position where people weren't in a position to give us those jobs, so we were quite lucky. So what happened, we were working with these builders. It was 2014. I was out in Brazil at the World Cup, partying it up, if I'm honest. 6 weeks in Brazil for the World Cup, and I stayed on and travelled a bit afterwards. And while we're doing that, we were doing a big project in Oxford. Fantastic house, fantastic project, and doing central heating. Now, central heating isn't something I knew at the time, and isn't something most people know. We had 15 people on last week, and only 2 of us knew central heating. We've now actually changed that to 4, and we keep planning to keep training people on central heating so we can slowly build up people's knowledge and skill. But at this point, I didn't know it. We had 4 electricians tried. The builder got an electrician in, I got an electrician in. We had a go and someone else had a go, and all failed. And I had to come back after 50 hours of travelling on 2 planes, travelling to airport to Europe back to the UK, 50 hours travelling, 2 hours sleep, and figure out my first central heating system. Now, this wasn't an easy central heating system. It had 2 existing zone valves, a new zone valve for the extension, and a new underfloor heating system. So the first one I had to figure out was this mess of systems. I had several programmers. I had to try and match into one kind of a set, as well as different thermostats. None of the plans matched. If you've ever wired up central heating, probably the biggest problem is that the boiler plans don't match the thermostat plans, that don't match the programmer plans. And until you have an understanding of how it works, once you have that understanding, you can do it without plans. But before you've got that understanding, you're trying to match plans that don't match and have different numbers, different codes, different parts, different connections. It's a nightmare. So I'm there trying. Ask the plumber, miserable bugger, for some help. I said, how does this mean? These plans don't match these. He pretty much just shrugged his shoulders and fucked off. We didn't know we were due to be doing the central heating wiring, or I would have arranged someone else to do it, because I don't know central heating wiring. All plumbers had previously done it before then, and the 4 years we'd been in business before that date. Since then, slowly more and more, it seems to be just left to the electricians. The tricky thing about it is we don't get taught anything in college. We don't get taught anything about heating systems. So for electricians that don't work with them, it's quite challenging. At least the plumbers have some of an understanding what a 2-port valve is, or a 3-port valve is, why a system S-plan. I now know all these things, partly as a result of this job. So this useless twat of a plumber just shrugged his shoulders, went off to another one of this builder's sites, and told him how shit we was. Now, while he was doing that, I spent another 2 hours there, got the whole system fired up and tested it, working how I think was correct, and it wasn't working. Now the plumber actually provided everything for this. I got another electrician I know who's the dog's bollocks, runs his own company. I said, look, we've got this problem with this heating system. So I think it's all wired right. I believe it's working right, but I don't understand why it's not working. I think one of the parts might be broken. I said this to the plumber, and the plumber just relayed to the builder again that we didn't know what we were doing. Great job. So I spoke to this electrician who runs a local firm, good firm, really nice guy, Martin. We met actually on a supplier holiday do in Vienna for the weekend, which was a bit mental. And I said to him, look, I'll come work for you for a day. You just spend a couple of hours with me, help me get this sorted. So I've gone and worked for him for a day. He's come over to Oxford with me and tested it, and lo and behold, everything's working. It was the wiring centre that the plumber provided was faulty. But by this time, unfortunately, the damage was done, and the builder had already got another set of electricians in to do the other jobs, and they had undercut the prices I'd quoted to do the next couple of extensions to win the jobs, and then took over from us. Now they only actually lasted 2 jobs, but that's another story. So what happened is, overnight, we were about to start these jobs in Kidlington, just past Oxford. Overnight we found out we lost them. We had to madly scramble around making calls. The foreman I worked for actually had a proper pop at the main builder and said, what are you doing? Why are you listening to this plumber? Howard's done it right, it's all working. Why would you go and get these other electricians without speaking to me? What's wrong with you? And had a proper pop, but unfortunately the damage was done. Someone else had come in, undercut our work and taken over, and that was that. But I learnt a valuable lesson today, and I was speaking to a friend afterwards in one of my recovery support groups, and he said to me, you should never ever let one contract do over 50 to 75% of your work for this very reason. The old saying, putting all your eggs in one basket. As soon as you put all your eggs in one basket, if there's a problem, then you're stuffed, essentially, and it might not be that. What if the builder catches COVID and passes away? My business partner passed away, suddenly died, so I know that's sadly possible. What if he's in a car accident? What if they get taken to court and bankrupt? What if someone else is ill? What if this situation happens again? What if one of your guys does something really bad and loses you all your work? You know, so many what ifs that sadly, well, unlikely to happen, have a chance to happen. And if you're putting all your eggs in one basket, you're just exposing yourself to massive risk. So if you do have to do that, make sure you're charging enough to cover yourself that if they walk away, you have a nice little cushion so you can protect yourself while you find more work, or a backup option for someone to work to. Or better yet, if possible, just don't put yourself in that position. Try and spread your work out. I know it's easier said than done. Try and spread it over a few builders, over a few trades. If you don't need to work for builders, don't work for builders. Just work for customers if you've got enough of a stream coming in. The jobs may be little and fiddly, but if you've got enough to support yourself, it doesn't matter if you lose a few, because you've got so many more keep coming through. So, you know, it was a challenging time, but compared to some of the things people go through, it was fairly easy. And as I say, we were very lucky, and I worked hard to make sure that no one had a day off, and no one did have a day off. So we were grateful for that. But yeah, losing all your work overnight is a nightmare I wouldn't wish on anyone. It's up there. In many ways, I'd say it's worse than having all our tools stolen, because, you know, that sucked, but we knew just pay out 4 or 5 grand, even on credit card, you're going to get all your tools back, you can carry on. Bit of upset, bit of hassle, bit of pressure. Losing all your work every night and worrying how you're going to pay anyone at the end of the week or month, how they're going to pay their rent, them having that worry, because you've got to be upfront and honest with people. That is a whole different ball game I wouldn't wish on people. So yeah, for me, I would say that was worse than having my tools stolen. And we've had 2 vans broken into. So what does that tell you? So do not put all your eggs in one basket.